Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new guest, Wylder Tomlinson. We're here to break down Awesoman issues 1 through 4 and everything in between. Wylder, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today, man?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about Awesoman. Yeah. Hot.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Let's get right to being awesome right off the bat. And I think right now would be a good time. Let's start with the basics. How did you get into creating comics and this awesome book? I mean, Awesoman is a great adventure. I had the opportunity to check out issue 1 and a sneak peek at issue 5. So thank you so much for that as well.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, man, how'd you get into creating comics?
Well, honestly, when I was really young, like, I mean, I've always been interested in art. Like, I don't know, since I was a little kid, my dad and mom got me into drawing art to give me art supplies and stuff. But yeah, I got into comics at like maybe I don't know, like around 10 or so, and I like because my dad bought me some, and then I just started making them, and so like my first like real, I don't know, passion for like creating art was like making comics, and I made a bunch of goofy like my own superheroes and stuff when I was a kid. And then high school, in high school is actually when I came up with the idea for Awesoman, and I made a totally different like version of Awesoman in high school that was like way less serious and probably funnier, but like I don't know. that's where the idea first came from. But I always like loved the character, so. When I grew up, I got into animation, and then I focused on that because animation is like comics, but you know more detailed. You know, like it's a lot more complicated. You know, It's like a fusion of kind of all the art forms. And there's music and sound effects and film and comics and everything. And I went to school for animation. I went to CalArts for experimental animation program, 4 years. And then it wasn't until recently, really this year actually, that like I decided I wanted to refocus on comics. Well, actually it's not entirely true, because in 2019 is when I made the first issue of Awesoman. I took this comics class, and the goal was to make like a 10-page comic, but I just wanted to like retell the story of Awesoman with like my modern, like my up-to-date like artistic sensibilities and style and the things that I was interested in, and then so I tried to like condense it into a 10-page story, and it just didn't fit at all. It was not even close. 10 pages was not nearly enough. So like after the class, I ended up making issue 1, 23 pages. And I was really happy with it. But I didn't actually continue it for a long time, until this year. This year I decided I was going to continue the comic and make like a graphic novel's worth of content with Awesoman, and I succeeded at that actually.
Yeah, you went pretty ham. You had, what, 4 issues come out? Real quick, we had, speaking of Twitch, my mod from Twitch, Captain B-Dub, over on YouTube, stopping in to say lots of love. Thank you for swinging by. Hope you're having a good day, B-Dub. So, real quick, you mentioned working on some animation back in the day. What type of animations were you working on? You know, if you could tell us a little bit about maybe some of the concepts or stories for those?
Yeah, the first animation I made at CalArts actually was an Awesoman animation that I made with a classmate of mine, Ben Riker, because he had like this superhero character called Valor Cat, and we combined universes. His was 3D, mine was 2D, so we had like this interdimensional portal that Awesoman got sucked into. It's called Awesome Force. You can watch it online. It's really goofy, and it doesn't like it's not canon at all to us, like in its current iteration. But it was a fun project at the time. And then other animations I've made, I don't know. There's a lot of characters that I've come up with. Like there's this wizard, the Great Murano. I also made some comics with a while ago, but I made that was my third year film, Spickled Dim Whistles, which is like about this lemur who reads Murano's. Murano's like this hermit wizard and lives on his own. And he's like very eccentric and insane. And anyways, that animation was pretty cool. And then I came up with the idea for like the Omnis, the whole Omnis Corporation, for this one project. For it wasn't even an animation project, it was like a science class. And for our last project, we were supposed to use whatever our like métier, like our main focus was, to like make something for the class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came up with the idea of like what happens when like, you know, AI is created for a mega corporation for the purpose of like, you know, making profits, like using its advanced like alien almost intelligence to like just focus on profits and expansion and like, you know, unlocking new technologies. And that was kind of the idea, and entertainment also. And that's kind of where the idea of like Scrappo came from. I made this short called The Omnis Power Glove, where he's like pitching this glove that attaches to like your nervous system, burrows into your hand, and it has like all these wacky gizmos. It's got like strength enhancer, a quantum computer, like an organic living computer, so it's actually alive and will like talk to you. Like all sorts of weird stuff. But yeah, so I don't know, this idea of Omnis is like this goofy like mega corporation that's like into all these like crazy sci-fi technologies, kind of expanded. And I ended up using Omnis Entertainment as like the name for encompassing all my art and characters and stories and comics and stuff. And there's in the fictional version of Omnis Corp is in Awesoman. It's like one of the main kind of Almar Omnis, who's the like fictional president of Omnis, is like one of the main antagonists for Awesoman in the series.
So, what made you kind of break away from animations, though? I heard animating was very strenuous, like the process of doing it.
It's just really time consuming. I love animation. It's still something that I'm passionate about and, you know, want to work on again, you know. It's just that like it just takes a really long time, and I want to tell like longer stories. Like Awesoman, I have like a much longer kind of overarching story in mind, and like to do that in animation, it would take like, I don't know, like 10 times as long as it is to just, you know, do it in comics. So that was honestly the goal, is to just tell the story, to have it like exist as a thing, you know, this world and these characters and this story to like build upon later. Yeah.
So give us a little bit about Awesoman. I mean, we start with guy Everyman. It seems like he has a everyday, you know, normal life in society. And then one day, you know, he is transformed. You know, so give us a little bit about that. You know, what all goes into this.
Yeah, you know, he's just a minimum wage fast food worker, you know, getting by. He's got his video games. He's like, you know, he's pretty much content with life. He doesn't really like want to deal with like the problems that life has to offer. You know, he's kind of riddled with like anxiety and stuff. And one day he's walking home from his job, and there's this voice, the narrator, starts talking about him, and then the narrator says, and little did he know he's about to be struck in the face by a meteor. He's like, wait, what? And then bam, it's hit in the face with a meteor. There's just smoke and rubble, and a figure crawls out of the crater, and it's awesome, man. He's inexplicably been just transformed to this super powered being. And he continues to hear the narrator's voice in his head. The narrator's kind of this like omniscient figure that is probably like responsible for, you know, hitting him with the meteor, and is like pushing him to be a superhero and like fall and like do superhero stuff, and he's just really confused, and he's like trying to, he like goes along with it sort of, but things get out of hand. He like is like, there's like some hobos that encounter him, and they're like, and he's like encouraging him to try out superpowers. He like gets hit by cars like flying, and yeah, he doesn't really want to deal with it. And then he like turns a cat into a dual neck guitar with awesome vision. And then he feels really bad about that, and then like some gangsters come over to try and steal the dual neck guitar, and then he like beats them up, and then the police show up.
Sounds like his life just gets more and more chaotic as we go.
That's absolutely what happens, and like you'll see in issues like two and up, it gets even more chaotic, more yeah. Just he completely loses control of his life. And there's no going back. He desperately tries to go back. Like he in issue 2 he like the whole issue 1 he like just wants to go home and play video games. And he just gets that completely out of control. He tries to turn the dual neck. He tries to use his awesome vision on the dual neck guitar again, and it like turns into a giant two-headed snake monster. Maybe we could look at some of the pages here.
Yeah, we could pull up. Did you want me to pull up issue 4?
We could, since we're talking about issue 1, so we could pull up issue 1.
And then for everyone that is watching, you could actually check this out for free at Global Comics. Is there any place that people can buy these issues?
You can buy the PDFs on Global Comics, and the way you can support me is on Patreon. I release issues for early access a month before I release them on Global Comics. So right now, for example, issue 5 is only available to read on my Patreon, and it's available at the lowest tier, only $2, so it's pretty reasonable. But yeah. That's I do plan on printing them and selling them at some point. I recently submitted to a publisher, so I'm waiting to hear back from them.
All right, hey, that's awesome, man. So, the creative process, do you do things traditionally or digitally?
Traditionally, although I do clean up like afterwards digitally, but it's all pen and paper. I'll show you. I got all the comics right here. Oh, this is issue 2. Issue 1, I think, is in a folder, but yeah, all traditional.
So that's man, that has to be pretty intimidating, right? Like starting a page and it's like one mess up, you have to redo the whole thing.
No, I just say I'll fix it in post. And then half the time I actually remember to fix it in post.
So right here is where we see him getting hit in the face with the meteorite. I think that's pretty hilarious too. Like it
just super cartoony, just like goes completely through his head. Yeah.
And give us a little bit about his character too. You know, I noticed he has a cape. It looks like he lost a little bit of hair.
Yeah. He's his suit is like, it's not really a suit. Like he's been completely transformed. Like that's just what he looks like now. Like his face, it's not like a mask that you could pull off. He actually tries to pull it off in issue 2, but yeah, he's like, wait, where's the zipper on this thing? there's no zipper. There's no going back.
I love like right here, like figuring out his powers too. You know, that he can fly in invincibility.
Well, mostly invincible. Put these back. Yeah, he still feels pain. But basically the way his powers work is just like his skin is indestructible. So it's like super like elastic and stretchy, but like it can't be punctured.
And then right here's that double-necked guitar you're talking about as well.
Yeah, the cat jumps. The narrator tells him to try it out on the trash can, and then the cat jumps in at the last second gets hit by the blast. And so the way Awesoman works is it transforms, or the way the narrator explains it at least, is that it transforms normal mundane things into awesome things. So it's like a transforming ray to blast things with.
And so are all the other issues roughly about 20 plus pages as well?
Yeah. They range from 23 to 30. Issue 4 has the most pages because issue 4, a lot of stuff happens in issue 4, and I couldn't I couldn't get to a good like cliffhanger like before 30 pages, so it just went on that long.
So when you're creating this comic, what does that look like? From the scripting to actually drawing it out and detailing the panels.
Yeah. So I'll start with an outline. I don't really do like full scripts. I'll just do like an outline of the story and kind of figure out the arcs of the characters, and then from the outline I'll just jump straight to pencils, doing the pencil roughs, like just drawing it, and then I'll figure out dialogue. And then the way that I do dialogue is like each step of the way I'll change things slightly. So like when I'm inking it, I might change change some stuff with the dialogue, and then when I'm lettering it, I might change some more things as well. Just kind of editing it like 2 or 3 times until the final version. I
just love how from the first second he gets these powers, like it's just chaotic for him. It just is never ending, and now he's like trying to like get away from these guys as well. Like this guy knows no peace.
That's for sure. Yeah. He gets just harassed because I mean, like it takes place in the near future. It's like an alternate kind of reality. It's in 2039, and then there's also this event in 2024 where these monsters, like these titanic monsters, attacked the world, and a lot of cities were destroyed. Which is why LA looks so different than it does in reality, because it was completely rebuilt.
So what type of enemies are we going to see Awesoman fight in issues to come? What type of adventure is he going to be going on within issues like 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, so in issue 1 he fights this 2-headed snake monster of his own creation because Awesome Vision turns the dual neck guitar back into that. But later on in issue 2 he doesn't really fight anyone. He fights the police, I guess, excuse me. Although it's not much of a fight, he kind of just like breaks out of there. In issue 3, he finally decides to embrace being a superhero, and based on like a tip from the narrator, he goes to fight the Crossbone Gang again. And the Crossbone Gang are looking for him, and so what they've done is they've gone to a liquor store, and they actually were like going to hold this guy, the liquor store owner, as like a hostage to try and like get his attention. But then Awesoman just shows up, and it goes really, really poorly. But the whole time, also since issue 2, these ESI agents, EarthSec Intelligence, which is like EarthSec is kind of like Shield, I guess. Or like some kind of crazy like breakaway civilization, global government kind of thing that deals with anomalous entities and aliens and all sorts of weird stuff. This is a flashback to the to M Day when LA got destroyed.
And then what's the M stand for?
Monster.
I gotcha.
Monster Day. Yeah, so they call in since Awesoman escaped last time from police custody, they call in the big guns, which means Ameritron. And Ameritron is an antimatter powered killer like robot that works for the U.S. government and EarthSec. And so that's who he fights in issue 3. And it goes really poorly.
So what's your deal with making this guy suffer? I mean, it seems like everything he does, it just ends up going bad for him.
To be honest, I feel like that's just what would happen if like if a real Superman existed. Like if someone just suddenly got powers, like I think people like don't like underestimate like how seriously that they would be like hunted and like attempted to be like captured or secured or killed by like all the powers that be. Like they don't want they want to either control something with that amount of power, or get rid of it if they can't control it, or study it in a lab or something. Like I don't know. I think that's just realistically like what would happen. People are scared of what they don't understand.
Yeah.
And like a superpowered, like a Superman is something that's like just beyond understanding. It doesn't follow the laws of physics. It's completely terrifying. Like, I mean, honestly, like there's so many evil Superman stories, and I think that's kind of overdone. But it's like it makes sense, like if someone with that amount of power, like if they went rogue, like it would be really bad for everyone involved.
So I gotta ask you, what was some of the inspiration for Awesoman? I'm kind of getting like Punch Man vibes, but if he had like negative like 20 luck.
Yeah, well, Saitama is also incredibly skilled. He's like been training for like years and years, and like it's just the level 9999 and everything. Awesoman is just some dude, no fighting experience, no combat experience, that's just been given like godly powers like out of nowhere, and he's kind of just trying to figure things out. He's trying to navigate this new reality. And he's gonna stumble a lot, and he's also completely like just not prepared for like all the powers that exist in the world. A lot of the powers are secret. Like the whole all the black budget projects that the military has, like all the crazy technology that's like just starting to be like leaked now, like with like the UFO stuff. Like apparently they've had retrieved like crash saucers and like studied them for like 70 plus years. So like I don't know, it's stuff like that where and they always say like the military is like 50 plus years ahead of like the public in terms of technology.
Oh yeah, that stuff's so crazy when you think about it.
It's absolutely true. It's completely true. And I've even seen some weird stuff. Like one time in Van Nuys, I was driving at night with my friend, and I saw this plane like hovering over a building, and there was a helicopter above the plane. It was like shining a light down on it, and this plane was making no sound. It was just like maybe like 20 feet above this apartment building, and the helicopter was shining a light down on the plane. Like, what the heck is this plane doing just hovering over this building?
I love this right here too. The cat getting turned back into the cat, and then the cat throwing him back up. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that cat comes back later. It gets changed by the process.
And we have all the reporters. And I love how the cameras are like hovering. Like I love how advanced the technology is in this.
Yeah, hover tech is everywhere. Robots are everywhere. AI is everywhere. Yeah, it's maybe a little more advanced than people would expect 2039 to be. But there's there's reasons for everything. Like the main reason is that Omnis kind of became this like mega dominant corporation, and they are utilizing technologies that have kind of been suppressed, but he kind of navigated and used his connections to make it accessible to the public.
Yeah, I mean, like when we got to 2020, I remember how it looked like in the Jetsons, and I was like so disappointed. I'm like, man, nothing's hovering. Yeah. Like even our hoverboards have tires on them. Like, hey, come on.
Yeah.
So after kind of just deep diving Awesoman. What's next for you in the future? Are you working on issue 6? I know I had a sneak peek at issue 5. Is that are you doing that like on Patreon where you're getting letting people get sneak peeks of future issues?
Yeah, I just posted on Patreon a month before I posted on Global Comics because I want I want as many people to be able to read it as possible. I don't want to lock it behind a paywall. I mean, I do need support. Like, I'm not really making any money doing this, but I don't know. I'd rather have people just like be able to read the story in general because it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I think it's a really cool evolving world. And yeah, each issue kind of just adds more little details about the really crazy kind of reality of Awesoman. Issue 5, for example, reveals a lot of stuff. There's apparently more than just Awesoman's not the only anomalous entity around. Let's just say that there's a lot of others that have been captured by Earthsec, and so he's kind of joining a superhero team, but it's not exactly like in typical comic book stories where it's like Justice League. They're just kind of operating outside the law, just doing whatever they want. No, it's closer to like Suicide Squad, but it's like they just grab anyone who has powers, whether you're a hero or a villain, you're forced to, train under this program. So, yeah.
And then how often do you upload on Patreon? If you want to go ahead and give your Patreon a shout out, you can too. Feel free to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just patreon.com/omnisentertainment, I believe. I post a few times a month, probably. Not as often as I should, but the comics get hosted there. There's some other cool stuff. There's I have a collection of D&D characters that I made for a campaign. I think it's like 20 or something PNG illustrations that people can use if they subscribe.
Oh, that's cool.
Full color illustrations. Yeah, mostly right now it's just early access to the comic, and they get thank yous on the issues. So yeah. Cool. Oh, also cool. I remember there's a perk if you do the $10, you can be a background character in one of the comics.
Oh, that's awesome though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. So before we wrap things up completely, Wylder, we always ask for one piece of advice. So for anyone that's new watching, and maybe they're just having trouble getting going with the script, with the art, or anything in between, what advice would you have for them to help them get motivated and just get going with it?
For making comics specifically?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I think I'm always an advocate of learning from doing, because I've been trapped sometimes in like just overthinking project hell, where I just like keep writing and rewriting and trying to make scripts and then not being satisfied with the scripts. And sometimes you just learn by doing. So maybe like if like writing script isn't working, you could try it the way I do it and just make an outline and then kind of figure out like the specifics like as you make it, when you're doing the roughs, whether it's digital or physical. But yeah, learn from the process. That's the fastest way to get better. They always say like on the job training is like the fastest way to learn anything. It's totally true. Just by like making a comic, you learn so much about making comics.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that. Everyone watching right here is the link. You can read all issues 1, 2, 3, and 4 for free on Global Comics, and then there's the availability to buy them as a PDF as well. So be sure to do so if you are interested, as well as checking out Wylder's Patreon. Get an early access at Awesoman as well. That being said, guys, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you have an awesome Saturday afternoon, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.